Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how I made this trouser for senator top exactly as you're seeing in the video. So it's going to be having elastic waistband with fancy rope. So the first thing I did was to mark out the length of the trouser plus 5 inches on the main fabric and cut it out. Then I folded it into two, so I drew a startup line, which you see me do now. So my measurement is going to be starting from that startup line. So at the sides too, I try to have a straight line so as for my measurements to be balanced. So if you find value at any point in this video, I'd like you to please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, like and comment. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to impute the length. So the first length I'm going to be imputing will be the crotch length. So if you check the tape, I had already removed 2 inches, which is going to be standing for the waist. So the crotch length that I'm using is gotten by dividing the hip circumference by 4 plus 1 inch. That is 44 divided by 4 plus 1 inch. 44 divided by 4 will give us 11, plus 1 inch will give us 12. So that is what I'm using in this video. So the hip length is going to be 9 inches, but I'm not going to be imputing it out because it's not necessary in this case. So the next thing I'm going to be imputing will be the outseam measurement, which is also the full length of the trouser. So mind you, I'm still going to be deducting the 2 inches for the waistband out of the measurement. So I'm going to be measuring the length, which is 38 inches. Then I'm going to be adding 2 inches to it, as you see me doing the video. So I'm going to be ruling out a line on all the marks. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to label the lines. So this is going to be the waistline, the crotch line, then the hem line, which is also the outseam length, and is also going to be the ankle line. So the next thing I did was to divide the distance between the crotch line and the ankle line into two by folding the tape into two, then marking it out. So from this point, I'm going to be coming up by 3 inches, which is going to be the knee line. So I'm going to be marking it, coming up by 3 inches, then I'm going to be rolling a straight line on it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is imputing the hip circumference divided by 4 on the waistline. This is simply because we are going to be using an elastic waistband. So we are not going to be using the actual waist circumference because it's going to be very difficult to wear. So we are going to be making use of the hip circumference, and I'm going to be imputing it on the crotch line too. So I'm going to be connecting the lines together. So in a case where you don't know the hip circumference of your client, you can make use of the waist circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches. It always works. So the next thing I'm going to be imputing is the lap measurement divided by 2. So I'm going to be imputing it on the crotch line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to come to this angle, and I'm going to be coming out by 1.5 inches, and I'm going to be using it to form my crotch curve. So I'm going to be blending it in, and I'm going to come to this waistline to the crotch line, and I'm going to be getting the midpoint of it. So I'm going to be folding the tape like this, so to get the midpoint. So I'm going to be marking the midpoint just as you see me do. So I'm going to be blending it into where the 1.5 inch is. So I'm going to be blending it out just as you see me do. So this is going to be the hammer. This is going to be the crotch curve. So it is very important that you don't make this too deep so as not to have a jumpy inseam part. So the next thing I did was to find the midpoint of this crotch line. So I divided it into two, and I placed it on the knee line, on the crotch line, on the ankle line, as well as on the turning allowance line. This is just to ensure that I have the exact midpoint all through the lines. So I'm going to be connecting the points all together. So I'm going to be having a straight line in the middle. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to impute the new circumference. So it's going to be 18, the nail of the client is 18, divided by 2 is going to give 9, 9 again divided by 2 will give us 4.5. So I'm going to be having 4.5 on both sides. That is how to divide the evenly divide it on the lines. So on the ankle line, the circumference of the ankle is 14. So 14 divided by 2 is going to give us 7. 7 divided by 2 again will give 3.5. So on each sides of this line, I'm going to be imputing 3.5, 3.5, which is going to mean 7 inches. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to connect the lines together. So that is my nail line. So the next thing to do is to blend out all sharp angles, just as you see me do. Pattern out. So I'm going to blend the one at the crotch line and also the one at the nail lines, both sides. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to come down by 0.5 inch at the waistline on the crotch line. So I'm going to be blending it to the other side of the waistline. So this is just to give a very balanced effect on the waistline. So it's going to allow the waistband coming to sit properly on the waist. So the next thing I did was to measure 0.5 inch again, which is going to be the sewing allowance all through the line. So that is what I'm doing there. 0.5 inch all around, then I'm going to curve it out. I went in to label the knee line since I forgot to do so earlier. So the next thing I did was to cut the pattern from the fabric, leaving about 2 inches beside this ankle line. I'm not going to be following the straight line coming from the nail line all through to the hem line. So I'm going to be folding it like this, and I'm going to be extending my center line downwards. After that, I'm going to be imputing the circumference of the ankle, which is 14 divided by 2, which is 7 inches. I'm going to be imputing it in as you see me do. So I went ahead to extend the lines. So the next thing I did was to cut the remaining pattern out of the fabric. So don't forget to leave the sewing allowance at this waistline, don't cut it out. So this is my front piece. So I'm going to be laying the back at the remaining cut out of my fabric. So I'm going to be laying the front piece on it, just as you see me do, flipping it over. So where was my ankle line before now became my startup line, as you are seeing in the video. So the next thing I did was to extend the line at the crotch line, also the one at the knee line, as well as the one at the ankle line and the turning allowance also. So I came to the waistline and I extended the line also. So I measured out 2 inches up on this waistline. 2 inches, you can go as much as 2.5, 3 inches sometimes. So I came down to, so I went up also by 1.5 inches. You can go as high as 2 inches depending on the size of the butt of the person. This extension at this upper part is just to ensure proper covering of the butt. So I'm going to be blending out the line, connecting it to the waistline in a slanted manner, just as you see in the video. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is coming out by 2 inches at the crotch line. You can do as much as 2.5. I think I did 2.5. Yes, I did 2.5 at the crotch line for the back. So I'm going to be finding a way to connect that waistline to the crotch line. So to guide myself, I came out by 3 inches at this angle on the crotch line, so as to ensure that I don't go too deep. So I'm going to be curving it out. So the next thing I did was to measure 2 inches at the knee line and also at the ankle line and also at the hemming line, so as to have my sewing allowance at the sides. So the addition that I'm giving to the back all serves as the sewing allowance, which I'm going to be using to join both the front piece and the back piece together. Remember, I did not add any sewing allowance to the front piece. So I'm cross-checking the measurement 2 inches all around except for the crotch line, which has 2.5 inches. So the what happened was that I had already cut this out before I realized that my camera stopped working, so I removed my cutout. So the next video you're going to see is how I stitch it together, and it's going to play right after this video.